Hi there. In this video, I'm going to talk you through how to make a texture, repeat or tile. And this is really useful when you're working in 3D. You've made a texture and you want to make it wrap around something really big. And I've been using this technique quite a lot recently. I find it really handy. So I'll talk you through how I do it. First thing to do is to figure out how big the image is. So if you go to image size, and I like to put it onto pixels. So it's 5512 by 5512, so it's quite a big image. What we're going to do is calculate half of that for width and height. So you just do half of that value. So if you bring up your calculator, 5512 divided by 2 is 2756. So coming back to our image, filter, other, offset, and we're going to put in that value there into both of these, 2756, and same on the vertical, 2756. So now you'll see the image has this kind of join through the middle. Now what I do is I use the clone stamp tool, which is here, or you can just press S, and usually the clone stamp tool will come up with a brush that is this. It's kind of a soft brush. I like to select a different shape brush. You can find that here. It's this one here, this folder of brushes. It's not that one. That one throws you off and takes you back to a normal brush. So this folder, I select a brush like that one. Let's go with this one. You can hide that. Now, when you press Alt on your somewhere on your image, it will sample. Say we're going to sample from here and paint. Let's make our brush size a bit bigger. We can do that. I will bring up this brush thing here and put the size a bit bigger, even bigger. It's a bit too big. I usually use the shortcuts, which are the bracket keys on your keyboard. But yeah, you press S to select clone stamp, you press Alt to select an area, and then you start painting. And you can see it's just using different areas of your image to stamp onto and paint over. So this way really kind of just really quickly and easily covers up that line, that join, and you can sample from different areas. I don't sample too close to a line because I'll show you what happens. You'll paint in and you'll paint in a new line like that. So I'll undo that. You just want to sample in these kind of central bits, and if you paint you might get a bit of an edge, so I tend to kind of do a stippled effect or dab, kind of dot the pen on my Cintiq. And let's do this join up here. So now the joins are covered. Not really anywhere apart from over this side that you can see there is a join. And say we've got something like that. Now, if I go to filter, other, offset, and just put it back to 0 on both of those, now you have a repeatable texture. And if you want to see that repeat, you can go to image, canvas size, and if you just double the width and height, so that's 400 millimeters, so we'll go 800 and 800. Oh, let me undo that. You've got to make sure you unlock this layer, which you can do by double clicking in the space between the text and the lock symbol, and that will just unlock the layer. Now if you go back to canvas size, if you double it, you can see that now if we put this in the corner and we just duplicate it by holding Alt, put another one in, can merge those and duplicate by dragging with Alt again, and this texture will repeat indefinitely, and it becomes really handy to use for 3D and stuff like that. Slightly more complicated when you have things like lines coming off the edge. So let's do the same again. This texture is the same size, so let's just go to offset, and it was 2756 by 2756. So you see now it's a little bit more complicated, but it's still doable. Let's zoom in and we'll use our clone stamp tool again. So we've got it selected by pressing S, and then we press Alt and hold Alt and click somewhere to sample that area. I'm going to just dot. You see when I press the brush, it'll show me just to the right of it up in the corner where it's sampling from. So you just move that sampling area around by holding Alt down, and just want to kind of disconnect these bits and make sure that it's all looking like there's no seam. So I'm trying to kind of match bits. So say there's a kind of texture like that there, I'll look somewhere else where there's a bit of that texture. So up here there's a bit of it, and let's cover up that bit there because we've already got a bit of that up there, and we're looking for a bit of this grey, so this bit's a good bit to sample from. And sometimes you might need to get the same brush that you used out to make those darker lines, just to kind of paint in some shapes, but I tend to just try and do it all with the clone stamp tool. So I'm just sampling these areas, just dotting. Depending on which brush you use here, it will often just come with this brush, which is kind of quite soft on the edges, which I don't like quite so much. And let's make it smaller. I'll show you, it just tends to leave quite a soft edge, which can be really effective, but for my work I quite like using more textured edges. So going up with that textured brush there, and yeah, let's make the brush size bigger. Not spacing size, about 400. I'm careful not to, when I'm painting this, I'm just trying to paint over this line in the middle. I'm not trying to, or what I want to be careful of it is not painting right up to the edges around here, because then I'll get a new line. It's just the central join that I'm really focused on. So say somewhere like that, I might use a connecting full line here to connect that up. Same again there. Let's see if we can match those. And there, so yeah, there's a bit there that could work quite nicely. So let's try and match that. And let's do a little line connecting them. There's a nice one here. And then let's use it again up there. So the join in the middle is almost gone now. Still using that dabbing technique, and we're nearly there. Just a little bit more. These ones with a clear pattern are the more tricky ones to do, but they are totally doable. So we're almost there. I think it's just this dabbing effect with this brush is quite handy. It masks quite a lot of things. So sometimes I might want to just get a brush out. Let's just choose a brush. Let's go with Gouache Go 40. Select a color and just kind of do some joins if it's needed. Maybe join that one up, and remembering not to paint on this line Oh, there's a little bit there that could do with something. Maybe I could just paint over it a little bit. And yeah, say we end with something like that. Okay, the join isn't really visible. So if we go back to filter, other, offset, put these back to 0. There's our texture. And if we want to see it bigger, see the repeat, might not be perfect, but let's try background, double click there and just unlock that layer. And then we want to go to image, canvas size, double both of those values so that we can see it on a bigger canvas. And we're going to just put that in the corner, hold Alt and drag. Can merge those two and hold Alt and drag. And you see the texture repeats. So that's super useful. And yeah, I hope you find that handy, and thanks for watching. Cheers.